This is the audio tutorial for FMTV 343 Intermediate Post-Production, and today we're going to be focusing on sound. Now first, if you want to get Avid certified, the way to complete it is that you have to complete MC 101 and MC 1010, and that's how you get certified. You have to complete each course, including any projects and exercises, with an official Avid learning partner. To learn more, you should visit this website, geniusdv.com, because a lot of places require you to go for in-person classes that range to a couple of days for a week. But this one has a self-study, and you have taken my course, so I assume that if you want to get certified, the self-study would actually be the most sufficient one for you. But 110 is going to be a little bit more advanced. The choices are yours. You can learn more about Avid Learning Partners through Avid's website, but I at least just wanted to provide this resource here in case you wanted to pursue it. So let's move on. The steps to audio editing. First, establish an audio track structure, which we already did. If you don't have a good track structure, your project's going to flounder because you're going to be confused. We are going to start adding some refined sound effects and other elements to our track. We're going to perform a basic mix to create consistent balance levels, eliminate distractions. We will use ducking via keyframes to solve any additional problems the other steps have given us, and we'll add filters to make any further adjustments to blend and shape our sound into a soundscape. Okay, first we're going to import some music. So we're going to make a new bin. Let's call that music. Then we'll need to make a folder for this. So right click, new folder, and we'll call this 04 sound. We'll put our music bin within that. Great. Now we're going to come to input source browser in our fast menu, and we're going to locate our flash drive. Mine is 343. Then we're going to look for Scramble King, sound. Cruise is the audio I'm using. Remember, we have to choose between link and import, right? If I switch it to link, I don't see any options down here, but if I switch it to import, I see all the different codecs we could use and that it's defaulted to the Media Composer one. We also see that it will have to save somewhere, so make sure you choose your flash drive. We're going to make sure that these two things are toggled off because we do want to close it. We're not doing anything else after we link or import, and we're not even opening up the source monitor, so we could have that. Under target bin, just make sure you set music. So let's go to this option, the gear icon here, click it, go to audio, and make sure we are configured for stereo. That's what we want to do anytime before we link or import. Remember, come to edit. If you come over here, you see all these options. We're going to make sure it's on stereo. Say okay, okay, and now we can import. Now it's asking us about frames per second. So we see we have all these options here. If we refer to our sequence down here, we see that it's high definition, 1080p, and that we are working with 23.98 frames per second. So we'll select the one to go with our sequence. Press OK. Take a couple seconds and it will be imported. And we want to import music just for overall smoother performance. Okay, so remember the first step to audio editing is to establish an audio track structure, which we did, but I'm going to clean mine up. So if I come over here, I see I have A1 dialogue, then I have music mono, and I had a tone mono. And we're not using mono, so I'm going to add a new track. Remember, Control U is for mono, but Control Shift U is going to be for stereo. So let me delete that other one. Okay, so I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to name it Stereo Music. Perfect. Okay, press OK. So coming back to our steps to audio editing, the next option is that we want to add, in our particular case, we want to add a music track. So this is the track that I want my music to go to. So let's toggle it and make sure every other track is off. Remember, track selectors matter. So now if I come up here to my cruise, I could just simply overwrite it and it will go and it will not move anything around because every other track has been deselected. Now remember, keyboard shortcuts to select all tracks. On Windows, Control A, Mac, Command A. To deselect all tracks, Control-Shift-A and Mac Command-Shift-A. So let's play our sequence.
We leave our problems at the door.
I'm going to make this bigger. And I'm going to make sure my track control panel is active. I'm going to toggle this on so that we could see our waveforms. I'm going to change my track color over here to green for now. I might change that later. Okay, so what we've been doing in the past when we've been measuring music is we've been coming over here, we do add edit, right? We go to the next part, hold down control to snap, add edit, and then we kind of just decrease the music manually this way from when he's talking to not talking. So we come over here, we go to clip gain, we touch this down here, and then we bring it down to -19, and we play it back.
The gym is somewhere to be safe and somewhere to kind of get away from everything else. And
the transition from the music being lower to normal is terrible, right?
The gym is somewhere to be safe and somewhere to kind of get away from everything else.
And we'd have to come up here to our transition manipulation tool, which is this one right here, right? Quick transition. So I want to make sure that every other track is not selected because I just want to add it to my music, right? So
away from everything else. And
better, but there's a more efficient way for us to be doing this. So let's get into that. First, we want to switch to the audio workspace over here. So let's click that. Now, if your configuration looks anything like this, remember, just go right here to this tiny little arrow and restore to default. Do you want to? Yes. And it should look like this. It's perfect. This is exactly how we want it to look like. We're going to be looking at a record monitor, not our source monitor. So now we have our audio tool right here, and we want to be referring to this when we discuss audio. Now let me zoom in here on our audio tool so we could really see our digital scale. Remember, opinions vary, but we never want this to go over to -8, right? 0 is the absolute highest. Never get anywhere near that. Yellow is kind of like a caution color, right? Green is safe, and if it gets into red, we're in bad shape. So we want to make sure that our digital scale measurement never goes over -8. If I come over here and I just kind of bring it all the way up, right, we'll see that it's starting to get really close to -0, which it's way too loud. And that's just not going to be good for our project. It's not going to give us any good sound. So we want to make sure that we're consulting this side of the digital scale, -8 being the absolute highest. It's okay to get a little yellow, never any red. Okay, we're going to map a new button to our keyboard. So we'll come to our command palette for this. We will look for the button which is under play. It's right here, toggle digital audio scrub. We're going to map that to our keyboard. And there it is. So when we have this on, as I play through it, as I'm scrubbing, I can actually hear it. And you'll see the audio waves are forming on my audio tool. You can see it up there on the audio mixer. We'll get into that tool soon enough. Now, if I come over here and I toggle it off, nothing appears. Right? We can't hear it. We can't see any of our waveforms. It's not being read. So that's why this is an important button for us to map. So going back to our steps, the third step is we want to perform a basic mix to create consistent balance levels and eliminate distractions. So we're going to be using the audio mixer tool, and this is from the Media Composer book, and they have numbered lists of things right here, right? So let's go through these so you know what the audio mixer exactly is. So number 1, we have clip, auto, and live. The auto mixer mode buttons let you select auto mixers mode. Auto for keyframing, clip for segment, and clip gain for live. Number 2, we have group button. It lets you adjust multiple sliders to simultaneously boost or cut levels across multiple tracks. 3, we have pan, so we could pan to left or right. 4 is volume level slider. It lets you adjust the clip gain or volume level and displays different track levels during our playback. Number 5 is the actual volume level display. It displays whatever current level adjustment you're on for volume. 6, we have track selection menu button. This lets you enable tracks for applying any options on your fast menu. Number 7 is the actual fast menu for the audio mixer. And 8 is the master volume level slider. And I don't know why Media Composer doesn't put this in their notebook or whatever, but this button here is the play loop, and we're going to be using that. I find looping audio to be the most valuable tool when doing balancing and mixing of audio. Let's look at our audio workspace over here. Now that we're in the audio workspace, we have our audio tool over here, and up here we have the audio mixer, and these are going to be the things that are going to help us balance. Now, the first thing I want to do is focus on Emilio. So I'm going to toggle to his dialogue track so that we can look at how his levels are. And again, we're going to consult both the tool and the mixer for this. I'm going to solo him. And I'm going to come over here to the beginning and just listen to his levels.
We leave our problems at the door whenever you come into the gym. The gym is somewhere to be safe and somewhere to kind of get away from everything else. And
okay, I'm looking over here.
My name is Emilio Hernandez. I train out of Tennessee Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy. I'm based out of Spring Hill, Tennessee.
Okay, so I'm going to bring this down to -2. You see this purple here? It tells us that I brought this down to -2. Now, your thought process might be that I brought the whole track down, but look, if I come over here, I had to move that back to -2. And if I come over here, it's at -4, so I have to bring that up to -2 manually. So by default, it doesn't apply it to every single clip on the track all at once. You actually have to bring your position indicator over to a clip and manually change it. That's how Media Composer works. Look, I go up and down. It's like it's over the specific clip. So of course you would think, well, if I want one clip to be -2 dB, I want them all to be. So we have to do something very specific in the audio track mixer. We have to come up here to the fast menu and we have to select set clip gain on track to global. Once we do that, notice how every single dB level has been changed universally on the track to
somewhere to kind
-2.
of get away from everything else. And
sounds better. Maybe we can even raise it a little.
My name is Emilio Hernandez. I train out of Tennessee Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy. I'm based out of Spring Hill, Tennessee.
Right, so let's actually adjust this now to maybe -1 and reset it. So we'll come up here, set clip gain on track global. They've all been reset to -1.
Hernandez. I train out of Tennessee Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy. I'm based out of Spring Hill, Tennessee.
Okay, so this particular clip, actually, we want to make a little bit lower, right? So we'll bring that down.
Which is 45 minutes south of Nashville. Nashville is very known for their music. I feel that most people, when
this one too, we need to bring this particular one down. So even though I set clip gain on global, I could still hover with my position indicator and adjust.
I feel that most people, when I do mention that I'm from Spring Hill, Tennessee, the first thing that they respond with is they didn't realize that Tennessee had jiu-jitsu.
Okay, so this is one of the key ways we want to be using our audio mixer over here to be balancing our audio. If we want, we could come over here, and this is when you can either set a, apply all to it. But another thing is if you did it too bad, you can remove clip gain, right? So I just removed mine and I would have to reset it all. Now notice too that because my position indicator is not over a clip, nothing is appearing in the audio mixer. It is reacting to where the position indicator is the moment it's there. Now we actually have options. So if for some reason you're like, oh my gosh, it's not working, make sure your position indicator is hovered over something and then your audio track mixer will be active. Okay, so I actually went ahead and deleted my music track so we could just focus on Emilio. So let's listen to him.
My nickname is Scramble King.
Okay. I'm going to use the loop function in the audio mixer to really focus on this. So hold down Control, press I, hold down Control to snap to the end, O, and look, now we have an in and out point. So I know that I just want to pertain to this moment. So I'm going to come up here and make sure that I toggle my play loop button, which is right here. Okay, so let's loop it and watch Emilio's levels.
Got that from the way I compete. I'm very big about scrambling out of positions and being
Watch it
very
over
mobile when
here.
I'm rolling. And a few guys came up with the nickname. It's pretty much stuck ever since.
So like most people, when Emilio talks, he starts out loud and then he starts getting quieter. He starts at around a -8, but then he goes to -14, even lower at times. So we need to change that. What we're going to do is we're going to put a plugin in. Now remember, this track control panel needs to be open. And down here, we actually have 5 slots. Think of them as A, B, C, D, and E. So we're going to go to A. We're going to click that. And this comes up. Now remember, A1, A2, A5, well, this is representing all of your tracks currently in your sequence. A1 dialogue, A2 music mono, A5 stereo. So we want this pertaining to A1. And the next option is the inserts, A, B, C, D, and E. We're going to keep it on a hierarchy of command, and we're going to put it at A, being the most prominent. Now we want to come to the no insert selection, and look, we have a ton of options here, and we know that what we're working with is stereo. So we want to be looking at all of the stereo and not mono effects. We're going to go to stereo dynamics for this particular thing right down here. And we want to utilize a compressor and limiter. We want to increase, but also at the same time limit his audio so it doesn't go over. We want to average around -8, but increase all of those -14 moments. So this is the tool that we're going to use to help us out with that. Now that we have the loop on, let's play it back and see our audio tool and watch our meters over here.
My nickname is Scramble King. I got that from the way I compete. I'm very big about scrambling out of positions and being very mobile when I'm rolling. And a few guys came up with the nickname. It's pretty much stuck ever since.
Okay, so we want our limiter ratio to be higher, right? So we need to increase our ratio. Just let's give it a little bit to 4 here. And then we also want to increase the gain over here. So I'm going to raise that by 2.
My nickname is Scramble King. I got that from the way I compete. I'm very big about scrambling out of positions and being very mobile when I'm rolling. And a few guys came up with the nickname. It's pretty much stuck ever since.
Okay, I don't know if you've noticed, but they've somewhat increased, and I want them to increase more actually. I'm watching my meters over here. So I'm going to increase the ratio just a little bit more and the gain a little bit more. Now by default, this should, just like the moment you apply this plugin, it should work, but we're gonna increase this some more just to see if we can have it level out at around -8.
Guys came up with the nickname. It's pretty much stuck ever since. My nickname is Scramble King.
Now we can see that that slot has been taken by our dynamics, and we can just select it and refer to it. We can also come up here if we want to remove it and put no insert, right? Because what we're doing is inserting an effect to this specific track. We could also save it by saving this little purple icon over here. I've already saved this before and I called it Emilio Compressor Limiter, but feel free to call it whatever you want, because if you want, this can get applied to other people, especially if you're working on a narrative with other individuals or a documentary with other people. Remember, any effect that you create can be saved in Media Composer and saved in your bins. Super helpful. Okay, next up in our steps is, in order for this to become a little bit more balanced, we're going to have to utilize ducking. And I'm going to show you first this option called auto ducking, and then they're going to generate keyframes, and then we'll get into keyframes for audio. Auto ducking is a brand new feature to Media Composer. You could literally right click in your timeline and select it on any clip that you have selected. It's right there. So when we click it, we have this menu. We have dialogue on the left-hand side and music on the right side. Now, notice how if I select just music and dialogue and I say duck, nothing happens. So I have to come back over here and I have to make sure that it's accurately toggled. So A1 is my dialogue, A2 is my music. I do have more advanced options down here that we can mess with, but for now, I say leave it alone. Press duck, it'll generate, and bam, there are keyframes on the timeline. Except they're not that good.
We leave our problems at the door whenever you come into the gym.
What about here?
The gym is somewhere to be safe and somewhere to kind of get away from everything else. And
that was too, yeah. See, these are off, right? They're off. It's great that it could do it for us, but it's not doing the best job. And we're going to just have to do this ourselves by adding and making and adjusting our own keyframes. So auto ducking is an option, but look at all the empty spaces we have here that don't have music coming up. It's not going to sound professional. We want this to sound as professional as we can. So we're going to adjust all of these guys. And we're going to make sure that they have this whole ramp up, ramp down effect. We also call it ducking because if somebody threw a ball at you, you would bring your head down and then bring it back up, right? I mean, it's a terrible example, but that's all I have. Don't these keyframes look familiar? We actually utilized them before for video and the effects, but we're going to be doing this directly on the timeline to our music. If you look at your keyboard right now, by the enter button, you have those two parentheses, I call them. If you're using a school computer, you will see the pink triangle right there next to the enter button. That is the keyboard shortcut for keyframes. If I hover over here with my mouse, notice how my mouse now turns into this little grabber icon. So if you want to move keyframes, if you put a keyframe and you got to move it, hover over it, wait till you see this grabber icon come. You'll be able to move keyframes up and down easily, but if you want to move them left to right, you have to hold down Alt. All right, so I'm going to start doing that and talk you through it while I move these keyframes in my timeline. So I'm just going to hold down with my mouse and move that over there. And I'm going to come to this first one and hold down Alt and move that one there. And I can move it up easily, remember. Okay, I'm going to go home.
We leave our problems at.
So I need this to be a little bit more. So I'm going to drag that out by holding Alt.
Leave our problems at the door whenever you come into the gym.
I need to generate these here. So I'm going to press the parentheses button right by enter, and it will generate. They'll be black here. They won't be pink here, but they have the same triangle icon. Give that enough space here. And keyframes really only work if you have pairs of them. Because now over here, now that I don't have one from this keyframe to the next one, I'm going to have to generate one so it doesn't have this like very gradual decline. So I generate this over here. I'm going to give it some space right there, put that one and bring it down so that when Emilio talks over here, I won't hear the music. Right? This is how I level it underneath him. And there we go. So I'm going to try and match this keyframe to my other keyframe. And if you notice down here, when I move a keyframe, it tells me at what level dB it's currently at. So this one's at negative 19.5. So if I move it, then I see how it's going up. Okay, so if I leave it right here at negative 19.5, it should match the other one. Let's
Whenever you come into the gym. The gym is somewhere to be safe and somewhere to kind of get away from everything else. And
I see this one, that's too soon. So I need to move this over so that by the time he's done talking, the music is back up.
Get away from everything else.
The goal is that by the time he's done talking, the music's already back up. So right before he stops talking, start bringing it up. I'm going to delete this mono track. Now by doing this, I realized that Emilio had an extra and at the end of this here soundbite. It's very subtle, but it's there. So I want to add keyframes here to get rid of that. So I'm going to first rename this, recolor this track, excuse me. I'm going to make it like this red. Okay, so I could really clearly see this extra waveform here that I need to get rid of. So I'm going to press the parentheses button. I'm going to add another one, hover over it till I get my grabber, and then bring that down. And I want to completely eliminate the track waveform. So I'm going to bring this closer, hold Alt, to this one here so that I hear none of it. This needs to be a little bit more of a hardcore ramp down. All right. Okay, I'm going to move this. This ducking did not do a good job. So hold down Alt and I can move them left and right. Okay.
My name is Emilio Hernandez. I train at.
Okay, so remember, the moment he stops talking, that's when you're going to make your first keyframe, and then a little bit into his first couple of words, you'll bring it down so that's the trick for leveling audio and music.
My name is Emilio Hernandez. I train out of Tennessee Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy. I'm based out of Spring Hill, Tennessee.
Great. Okay, Let's say for some reason you can't figure out which key on your keyboard is the one for keyframing. So let's map it with the command palette. Let's go to FX and find our pink triangle and add that to the record monitor, so that instead of relying on your keyboard, if you're more of a button editor, which is totally fine, you can generate keyforms on the track by just pressing the button. So we need one.
Nashville is very known for their music.
Yeah, we need one right here. So add keyframe. Let's make our second one. That's our first pair. Let's bring that up. Great. And I'm going to bring that in again right when he stops talking.
I feel that.
Cool. Let's add two more. I see. Look at that. Look at that shape. We need to add another one over here so we can. They always work in pairs, so it would be a better ramp down. Okay, let's bring this down. Perfect. Okay. Cancel.
Music. I feel that most people, when I do
better.
mention that I'm from Sugarhill, Tennessee, the first thing that they respond with is they didn't realize that Tennessee had jiu-jitsu.
You're going to want to listen to all of these and decide for yourselves. My advice, of course, is that the moment he stops talking, make sure there's music and vice versa. And even though we're keyframing, let's bring this clip gain overall down because the music is just really loud. So let's just bring this down a little bit to -4 should be fine. I'll look at my audio tool and make sure that when it's at full volume playing, it doesn't go past -8.
You can save you in different ways depending on what you're really looking to get out of it.
That's pretty good. Okay, last but not least, we're going to add filters to make any further adjustments to blend and shape our soundscape. And this is when we're going to learn a little bit about the audio EQ tool. Okay, just like before, this is just like the audio mixer where Avid has given us a breakdown of everything. So let's look at the numbers. Super technical and boring, but here we go. Number 1, we have low shelf control. This affects low frequencies. Number 2, we have the high shelf control. This affects all high treble frequencies. Next, we have the parametric mid-range control. This affects the range of frequencies between the low shelf and the high shelf. So that's why 3 is all the way in the middle here. Number 4, we have the EQ range slider. This sets the parametric mid-range adjustment midpoint. And number 5, we have the EQ parameter graph. 6, we have the audio loop play. Obviously, this is something that is very helpful. And number 7 is the fast menu that contains a list of options that speed up the EQ process. However, this project doesn't really require any filters. It's really just Emilio talking with not even usage of any of the other clips. So I would mess around with it. See what you could get if you want to clean it up, but I'm not really looking for any filters on this project, but I do encourage you to mess around with this EQ tool. I wish you good luck on this project. I hope you don't get sick. Please reach out with any questions, and I will see you next week when you present your final projects to me.